Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, new from the Ville, and I'm here to talk to you about the movie Predator, Killer of Killers. But first, let me tell you a little story. I want to say back in maybe 2000, 2001, something early 21st century, I had the privilege of going to a local theater in my city called the Louisville Palace Theater, and I saw a production unlike anything else I'd ever seen. It was called The Wheel of Life, and it featured real Shaolin monks of all different ages that did some of the most extraordinary feats during this show. Now, I understand this is a show, it's a production, and during the show they told the origins of the Shaolin Temple, and they had several of the monks, including children, very small children, perform feats of strength, of discipline, just extraordinary things right before our eyes. The thing about it is, I had been in martial arts since I was like 6. But I'd always taken karate. I was always some form of karate, whether it was Shotokan, Gojo-ryu, even Kupagani and Gumi, which is an African form of martial arts, Taekwondo. It was always some form of karate. But I was a lifelong Bruce Lee fan. I wanted to take Kung Fu. And if you know anything about Kung Fu, if you're not taking Jeet Kune Do or some form of Wing Chun, then probably the best place to go, who all the movies and things when I was growing up, Shaolin was the way. But the one thing that I understood about watching this show was that it is 100% your environment, what you come up in. These children were taught to do things from a very early age. In the age when I was playing with Hot Wheels and had crayons and was drawing on the sidewalk, they were learning to balance on ropes and becoming proficient in weapons and things like that, just things that didn't seem humanly possible. You know, when you watch those movies and people are going through Navy SEAL training and all of these extreme trainings, and more times than not, it's their mind that gives up, not their body. Or their mind tells them that their body's had enough. It almost seems like these Shaolin monks didn't have that. They had what I would call an otherworldly resilience. Let's get into it. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, new from the Ville. I'm here to talk to you about the movie Predator, Killer of Killers. Now, if you rock with me for a little while, you know that I usually do a intro story. I do a short recap. I tell you my quotes of the day, get into some personal thoughts, and then we're out. But I'm not going to really do that much of a recap. So Predator, Killer of Killers is an animated story done by Dan Trachtenberg. Now, you might not be familiar with the name, but you are familiar with the product. He is the one who did Hulu's Prey. I think that came out in 2021, but it was the newest addition to the Predator franchise. And it was about a Native American young lady from the Comanche tribe, and how a predator landed on Earth, I don't know, early 1900s, 1800s, some, maybe even earlier, maybe 1600s, I don't know. But it was at a time where the American landscape was run by tribes of Native Americans, and this particular predator was tracking some, I don't know, conquistadors, maybe Portuguese, Spanish sailors who were in this country. So I know it was past 1600s, at least within that time. But ran up against a very smart, very capable young woman who managed to outwit and dispatch a yautja, which is the name for the species that is the predator. Had a different look than most of the predators that we've seen before, and the thing about this Predator Killer of Killers movies, it's an anthology. We get 3 different stories with 3 different types of predators. Makes it all the much more interesting. The first one, you get a tale about Ursa, a Viking warrior lady. Let me tell you, when I tell you Ursa, she's about that life. Like, if there is a him, Ursa most definitely is her. I don't want to tell you too much about it because you really need to watch this. I mean, this movie is phenomenal. The second story is right up my alley. It's a samurai story about Kenji and I think his brother's name was Kiyoshi. It was a set of twins, and they have a falling out for a reason, and the predator shows up to get busy, and busy it is. Like, it's peak. And then there's another story about Torres, and Torres is an American pilot during World War II, 1941, World War II. And then there's some more of the story that happens past these 3 stories. It combines the 3 protagonists into a singular story, and it is just, I cannot say enough about it. The one thing, Dan Trachtenberg, he gets it. You can tell when someone is a fan of not the genre, but a fan of the franchise. Dave Filoni, the fan, you know that is a Star Wars guy. And you have certain people, you have your Dave Filoni's, Jon Favreau's, Sam Witwer. You know that there are people within Star Wars that get it and love it. Kevin Feige, Jon Favreau, people who loved Marvel once upon a time. But Dan Trachtenberg, the series, the franchise that is the Predator, he gets it. And he may, how sometimes people overpromise and underdeliver? Well, for this, he over-delivered. Oh, excellent. And just in case you're wondering, you was like, well, it's a fluke, it's animated, I don't really do animated. He did Prey, which was live action. He did this. And the one that's coming out later this year, Predator Badlands, which is live action, he's doing that one too. Like, this dude has got his finger on the pulse of what is Predator, and it's phenomenal. You really need to watch it. Now, you know that I love my quotes, and I only have 2 for you today. The first one is from Dieter F. Uchtdorf, and he says, "It's your reaction to adversity, not adversity itself, that determines how your life story will develop." And the other quote is from Ambrose Redmoon, and they say, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear." I'm calling this particular media therapy deep dive Otherworldly Resilience. Resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, i.e., toughness. The ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, elasticity. How quickly can you bounce back? How tough are you? That is resilience. Now remember, tough, this didn't say anything about fighting. How quickly can you bounce back? How quickly can you withstand or recover from a difficulty? That's resilience. You know, sometimes I think that they don't make them like they used to. And you know, the funny thing is, I'm sure that my parents probably said the same thing about my generation. And their parents probably said the same thing about them, definitely said it about us, the same way that I might say it about my kids, or people would say it about their grandkids, what have you. Each generation turns out people differently. It's culture, it's the environment. Sometimes it's you. You've changed. You might have grown up rough, and once you have kids, because you love them, you nurture them, you want them to do well, you decide that maybe I'm going to take away all the rough things that I grew up with. I don't want my kid to experience that. So that old saying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because you don't want your kid to have it rough, you take out all the things that made you who you are. The reason why you are resilient, the reason why you have that bounce back, the reason why you're tough. You don't want your kids to get it out the mud like you did. You don't want them to go through the adversities that you did. So how do I give my kids street knowledge and an education of the streets and how life works? That sort of common sense that you don't get from books, without having them be in the streets. How do they get hood knowledge and not be in the hood? Is it even possible? The beauty of this particular animated movie was that they showed us 3 different time periods. The first one, Ursa, was from 841 or so, time of Vikings. And if you paid attention to history, you know, the Vikings were not only resilient, but I mean, tough as they come. They were a warrior race of people. If what Vikings showed up, they pretty much killing everybody, and you know, they're looking for conquest. And it wasn't until a little bit later in their history where they got a little bit more of a Christian influence, and they decided to chill a little bit. But they were still, if you wanted somebody tough as nails on your team to fight for you, to fight with, you wanted some Vikings, because they was about no nonsense. When it came to war, they were masters at war. The second one, we went to feudal Japan in 1600 and something. And also masters of war, but they have a code. They were very strategic in how they did things. And then you had the 2 sides of the coin. You had the samurais, who allegedly fought with honor. And then you had the other side, the ninja, who fought with stealth, subversion. I don't have to meet you head on to beat you, because the objective is to beat you. And then the last story in here, an American pilot of Latino descent during World War II. And he was clever. He used his cleverness, his ingenuity to win. And the thing is, knowing about the Yautjas and knowing about predators, they went after who was the best. They wanted to claim, they wanted to kill the best. In order for me to be the best hunter there is out there, I need the best prey. So in each of these situations, you see that the predator was already there. The Yautja was there, and he would sit back and wait to see who comes out on top. And whoever comes out on top, that's them. That's the prey. That's who I must kill. I must claim them as my trophy. So in the first one, of course, he went after Ursa. Ursa's a bad mama jamma, shut your mouth. In the second one, Kenji and his twin brother, Kiyoshi. The third one kind of perplexed me though, because Torres was not the best of the pilots. He happened to be the last one left, and he happened to be very ingenious in how he dealt with the Yautja that was on his tail. And because he ended up defeating one, that is why he became on their radar. Because the other ones, the ones who were better than him, they ended up dying. Interesting. Think about being resilient and otherworldly resilient. There's a book, I remember it, I didn't read it, but there was a book I remember seeing by Kenneth Ginsburg, talked about the 7 C's of resilience. So I'm gonna list them out here for you real quick, and then you can ascribe some of your own thoughts to what those mean, and maybe even go check out the book. And I don't know this guy, I'm not sponsored to, but I thought it was fitting. 7 C's of resilience are competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, and control. Now, where those 7 different things fall in your life and how well you handle each one of those could determine how resilient you are. And really, this is what this is about. This is what this movie is about. The resilience of these characters, their intestinal fortitude. Not only how they bounced back from adversity, not only how they sprung back into shape, even after they had been stabbed, wounded. What is on the line? Because a lot of times it's easier to fold when it's just about you. But remember that quote where I said it wasn't about fear. You found something else that is more important than fear. Everyone experiences fear. But when you have a purpose, there's something more important than fear, and that you have to keep pushing forward no matter what. That's what we got. That's what we saw in this movie. And it became easy to root for our protagonists. Even though the amount of bloodshed, the amount of bodies that they stacked up was staggering. Like, it was crazy. How flexible are you? How adaptable? When you face an adversity, are you willing to adjust your plans? Even though we saw this in a movie and it may not mean much to you, just seemed to be a good movie about 3 wonderful humans who were able to defeat overwhelming odds. This has meaning in your life too. When the chips are down, when everything looks bleak, can you bounce back? This is Rakai Steed, Noob from the Ville. Make sure that you share this video as much as possible. Leave me a like, leave me some comments about some situation that you had to be resilient. What did you think about this movie? Who was your favorite character, your favorite part of the anthology part of the movie? Are you looking forward to the other live action, the Predator Badlands is coming out? And what did you think of the Predator franchise as a whole? Just leave me a comment. And if for some reason you haven't subscribed yet, I get it. But that's why I said yet. Because what you're going to do right now is click on the button below. Remember, everything that I do, I use this, but it's even better when you use this.